How's everybody doing? I decided to come on and start talking about the full moon. Had some music going on the Facebook stream, so I was turning it down. Wonder if my camera's where you can see me. Getting there. Getting there. Hey, Lauren. Hey, everybody. Hey, Ashley. Y'all want to hear some stuff about the full moon in Scorpio? Oh, it's a doozy. It's a doozy. Start my video on Facebook. All right, am I recording? I sure am. Okay. So let's talk about it because it's pretty insane lately. At least that's my take on it. I am a Scorpio, so maybe you're getting a little of my own chart whenever I talk about it. That's okay. I think that's normal. And that's why we're drawn to certain people. You're going to get what you're going to get from different people, right? So let's see. The exact time of the full moon in Birmingham, Alabama is 10:32 p.m. this evening. And right now it's in Scorpio at this very moment. So the thing with the full moons and the new moons and all of this jazz is that you can feel it on its way up and you can feel it when it culminates. And the phases of the moon are very important. We had a new moon in Aries to begin with. And then the sun moved into Taurus. Now the full moon's in Scorpio. So you can look back actually 6 months ago as well. So it's not just the last new moon to this full moon. It's also the last new moon in Scorpio, which would have been sometime, I believe, in November. And what was going on back then for what is culminating now in yourself, in your body, in your heart, in your depths. Let's put it that way. Because Scorpio does rule the unconscious. It rules the depths. It rules deep desires. It rules, I was thinking about it because traditionally Scorpio is ruled by Mars. Scorpio is it's a water sign. I mean, you can say it's the swamp sometimes, that's what I like to say, or a lake. It is a contained fixed water sign. So what is fixed water? And then I got to really thinking about the symbolism of the fact that a fire planet traditionally rules Scorpio. What does that mean? Mars being a fire planet that represents desires, passion, will, and then the connotations of Scorpio being power and disempowerment. But I thought, how interesting that a fire planet traditionally rules a water sign. What does that look like? What symbols can we gain from that? And I started thinking about fire and water and how they traditionally, not just traditionally, like in reality, do not mix, right? You use water to put out fire. But there is something here. And it is when fire meets water, water gets very hot. And can you tell the difference if you're burned by fire or if you're burned by water? I don't think so. I think those burns feel the same, right? And then, the other symbolism I was thinking of is the redwood trees. I recently took a trip out to see them. One of the most impromptu trips I've ever done in my life. It was really awesome. And fire can burn redwoods and redwoods survive. And what protects them is the water inside their bark. And what does all this mean, And I think that it's really easy to get burned by our own water. I think that's what I'm getting at. And instead of it protecting us, instead of being conscious. And then this Carl Jung, what is that? Let me see. I had this up. And until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. And that really is a super huge theme for this full moon in Scorpio that is ruled by Mars. And so Mars is in Cancer. And our feelings become very big. They boil right? They're coming to the surface. And then we have the moon shining its light on this fixed water. So fixed water and then cardinal water being two very big themes right now. So on the build up from this last Aries new moon, again, fire ruled. It is fire ruled. Aries is. Aries is fire ruled in a cardinal fire way, though. It's a quick fire, right? It's a tender, burning, hot fire. That's where the new moon was. And then we get to this water fire. I lived in a place in near Denver, Colorado. And in fact, there's a documentary about it called Gaslands. And there was fracking out there, and you could turn on your faucet and the gas would come in with the water. Very toxic, not very good. Look into it. But you could set your water on fire. Was it the water that was burning? No, it was the gas inside of it. So the symbolism here is very, very nuanced and also multi-layered. What inside of you is burning right now? I feel it. I feel the maybe the unconscious bubbling up, and there is no avoiding it. There is no hiding it. The light is being shown onto it. The fire is boiling it to the surface, and you can't avoid it. And so it's until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. You don't want to admit that something's going on in a friendship or something, and then something seemingly happens on the outside and it blows up your friendship instead of figuring out what that was anyway. It can manifest in many, many different ways. But I also found it interesting that the Sabian symbol for this, which is a symbol that was channeled for each degree of the zodiac, did I leave that pulled up? It was a calm lake. I mean, that's the main gist of this Sabian symbol, is the moon reflecting on a very calm lake. And I come back to Joseph Campbell talking about there is a still place inside of us. And I think that still place is acceptance of ourselves and acceptance of our feelings and acceptance of what we need, what we want. I mean, just true acceptance. And that's what really Scorpio is about. You fear these things because you're afraid of embodying who you truly are. Sometimes I fear myself. I fear my feelings because, oh my God, it might take me out of my comfort zone if I actually talk about them. Or I avoid them. I don't want to, talk about this feeling. That's the feeling I don't want to talk about. That's too serious. That, might take me toward my destiny. Who wants that? And I think that's part of it, right? So the full moon in Scorpio being about bringing fears up as well. How do you deal with those? Do you try to put out the fire? Do you try to avoid the unconscious? Do you keep it in this place of fear? Do you let it have power over you? Scorpio rules power and disempowerment. So the other part of this Scorpio full moon is that it's reflecting the light of the Taurus sun. That's what a full moon is. It's reflecting the light of the sun. And the Taurus sun, by the way, it's at 7 degrees, but the sun's at 7 degrees Taurus, the moon's at 7 degrees Scorpio, and they are exactly opposite each other at 10:32 p.m. Please go look. It will be rising. And thanks to Gemini Brett's astrolocality class, and I'm taking his astronomy for astronomers this summer, I associate that with the 11th house in Birmingham, Alabama. So it's, go up and look at it tonight. It's exactly full where you can see it. So it's reflecting the light of the Taurus sun. What is Taurus? Taurus is about the things I know I value that make me feel comfortable, the place where I find beauty and sensuousness. That's another word for it. but it's accompanied by the planet Uranus, which is like lightning. It is bringing some shakiness to this earth sign, this fixed earth sign. It's like, whoa, this is what I value, and you're going to come up now. So yeah, I mean, you think of the redwoods burning inside and still being alive, and it's a slow burning fire. It's burning probably the sap inside of it. And I mean, there's another example of something moist burning. You know, the alchemists thought, whoa, fire burns, when they found alcohol, which is a very Neptunian concept, and Neptune's in Pisces, so some water going on. But this lightning that's sparking this kind of slow burning inner fire, it really demands some attention. Venus is there. Venus is relationships. Venus just had a conjunction with Uranus. Mercury just had a conjunction with Uranus and Venus, all in Taurus. And the moon's reflecting all that light. It's like, oh my gosh, the moon is shining on this calm lake, this normally calm, where we have pushed all of the things down, and they're down there and under the swamp, and we don't have to see them, and the moon's just reflecting off of it, but they're there. And Mars in Cancer is boiling it to the top. The lightning has struck. I mean, can you imagine a lightning striking a swamp, what that might do? And kind of stinky, right? So the symbolism is one of shifting and really discomfort. I'm feeling discomfort. You're going to get that from me. Maybe other astrologers who have a different chart than me don't have any discomfort with this, and they're just feeling really sexual because, you know, Scorpio rules sexuality, so does Taurus. But you know, this is about sharing yourself, you know, your assets versus someone else's, and how you share it with them. How do you share your body with people? Are you empowered in your contracts? Scorpio rules contracts and other people's money. Are you empowered and disempowered in that? Or have your values shifted and now those contracts look different to you? Maybe it's uncomfortable because you're like, oh, I really don't like this. And I really am holding on very tightly to this contract because I've always been in this contract. I don't want to move out of this apartment. I've always been here. This is my apartment. But, you know, the roof over there is caving in. And yeah, the landlord's kind of a butt. I don't know. But I've always been in this apartment. Oh gosh. And there's roaches next door, and they're starting to come over here in this apartment. But I've always been in this apartment. I've always been here. I don't want to break this contract. You know, I don't want to move. I don't want to do all the work. It's uncomfortable to see these things seeping in and coming to the surface, and all of the unconscious fears, you know, rearing their head and going, hey, I'm here. You know, you may also be feeling like you're welcoming this. Like, I want to, you know, maybe you're starting a contract. Maybe you're entering into one and it feels powerful. You know, so for some of you, it could be about endings. For some, it could be about beginnings. For some, it can be about deciding whether it is an ending or a new beginning. You know, maybe you call the landlord about this apartment and you're like, hey, dude, I'm about to leave. And he's like, look, I got a better apartment in a different building. I would love for you to stay in this contract. Right. But you have to be honest about it. You have to speak about it. And Mercury, having passed over the sun, Uranus, and Venus, is now really in this new, I'm going to speak, Taurus rules the throat chakra, my truth here. And the moon in Scorpio is going to shine a light on everything you want to speak about. And enjoy it, because in about a month, Mercury goes retrograde. And that's the beauty of these cycles, is you can see it. You can see Mercury getting to its spot, and then it turns around and it rechecks it, and it passes the sun again until it goes direct. And then it passes, every time it passes the sun, it seems to communicate new messages to it. And now it's in its new territory, we'll put it that way. and gathering the information that it wants to take back to the sun when it retrogrades. So I would say now is the time to be exploring being honest and speaking your truth and letting that throat chakra open, open and open. Let's see what else we can speak to during this full moon here. I found it really cool that this full moon is in an opportunistic connection with Vesta. Vesta is an asteroid, and Vesta it represents devotion, the fire keeper, and it's in Virgo right now. And Virgo prunes, right? Vesta's like, don't forget to clip off the old dead leaves because the new growth will not flourish. And I mean, to a certain extent, that's what fire does. Fire in a forest burns all of that old stuff away, and it just goes and goes until all the old stuff is burned, and maybe even some of the inside of the trees are burned out. But there's room for new growth, and it's killed a lot of the bad bugs and the ticks and the beetles. And yes, I judge them. I judge those bugs. But you can see where I'm getting at here. Like, it's not, I mean, fire is so, it's twofold. It's so welcome, and it hurts, it can inspire you and make you feel motivated and passionate. And it also hurts because maybe that's pulling you away from something else, or making you be honest and really stand up for yourself and feel empowered. And that's not comfortable for someone else, right? So it can be quite shaky ground. We've still got Jupiter and Saturn in Aquarius, and I mean, it's 5 degrees away, but this moon is square, applying to a square with Saturn. And the sun is in a square with Saturn, and squares are tension. They're uncomfortable. Saturn is like, hey, we're building the new world. We're building something here. And the full moon in Scorpio is like, first I need to tear this down. I need to burn this. Saturn's like, no, don't burn it. These things are, in disagreement. And they're also catalyzing something, right? You have to understand that wood underneath is rotten before you keep building on it. You have to understand that those things need to be removed and taken out and made conscious before you can keep building on these foundations, these plans, these future goals. And the tribe, that's Aquarius, right? We got this new tribe that we're trying to find. Who's our people? Who thinks like me? Who walks like me? Who looks like me? Who doesn't look like me? Who doesn't think like me? And what do I want around me? That is what Saturn and Jupiter and Aquarius are about. And that's why it's about also goals. I mean, you have to have the community all in alignment to pursue a goal, especially one that's, going to be good for humanity. Like, oh, let's all get together and pick up trash on the side of the road. One person can do that, but it's way better when like a whole community comes together and does it, right? So that's what Saturn and Aquarius is really pushing for. Mastery of your tribe, not you being the master of your tribe, but learning who to surround yourself with. And then this full moon in Scorpio goes, that person has not been nice to you. That person has exerted their power over you a little too much. Or that person's not putting up with your shit anymore. And then, then you figure out, okay, they're either a part of my tribe and I either, adjust myself, or I say, I don't want to be a part of that tribe and be connected to them anymore. That goal is not going to work anymore because this new desires come to the surface and And I have to honor it, or I can't pursue that goal because it's not in alignment with who I am. And I thought it was, but it's not. And now I have to end it. So, that's the overall nature of this full moon. Let me go through the signs very quickly so that we can see how this full moon might be affecting everybody. All right, so I'm going to start with Aries rising. Aries rising and Aries sun. This full moon is in your 8th house, which actually has a lot of the same themes as Scorpio. Hold on, let me get here. I'm sorry, I have to fix this again. Okay. Which has a lot of the same themes as Scorpio in general. So this is bringing up a lot of shadow for you. And perhaps you're feeling the shift in your own self-worth, in your finances, what you consider your own, and maybe you want to level up there. Venus is there. It's like, hey, I am worth so much. Why do I have this contract with this person? Why am I sharing myself with this person in this way when I am worth way more? Saturn is in your 11th house again, which is a lot like what Aquarius is like. So friend groups, your goals, your tribe. So if you're feeling shifts in that area as well, this full moon is bringing that up. If you are looking to let go of something for this full moon, which is what I suggest, always letting go, right, for a full moon, or maybe allowing the light to shine there. It is on the darker things, the things. And when I say dark, I don't mean bad. I say it's like what occult means. Everyone goes, especially in the South, the occult means unseen. You can't see it. So, if you've got some things that you've been hiding from yourself, from someone else, now is the time to let that go, man. Obviously not to your own detriment. I mean, if you don't feel comfortable revealing something, maybe you can work on letting go of the fear around it. Okay. Taurus rising, Taurus sun. This is in your 7th house of relationships. So maybe some uncomfortable truths there coming up. Some realizations in terms of who you surround yourself with. The sun is in your 1st house, which is you, yourself. And so you may feel like you are changing, and therefore your relationships are being illuminated. You may need to let go of them, or you may want to start a new one. That's all very possible. Saturn is in your 10th house of career and legacy and public reputation. So that somehow is factoring into all of this. I could see something like, if you're not valuing yourself in relationships, if you are attached to someone who is making you feel disempowered, how do you expect to be successful in your career? So confronting those truths is going to be very important for you. Just make sure you are feeling yourself. I mean, you are so worthy. And that is what's very important for this full moon, to realize that you are worth success and feeling good. I think there you go. All right, Gemini rising, Gemini sun. This full moon is in your 6th house. The 6th house rules health, wellness, routine. And if there's some uncomfortable truths coming up there, it's definitely important to honor it, especially in your emotional body. So if you have been feeling not well, right? I would definitely look at working through some emotional things, whatever that might be. It could be that you're holding on to some trauma. And by no means am I minimizing actual physical illnesses, because that's a part of it. So please also go to your doctor if that's the thing that's going on. But my point being that it's also layered, right? So your emotional body, the way you've been disempowered, maybe by your own health, and maybe that's something you are ready to let go of. Taurus is in your 12th house of spirituality. So it's like you're downloading some new information, you're downloading a new operating system, and you're seeing the things you've ignored in terms of your health and maybe your routine. It is a sort of a spiritual and physical placement, this Scorpio in the 6th house. So it is also kind of a hidden, hard to get to the root of situation. So if you're feeling like you don't know, that's okay. Saturn is in Aquarius in your 9th house. So you're really trying to figure out what's true for you anyway. And I would recommend this is a good time to explore philosophy, different religions, and figuring out what is it that I truly believe is good for me, especially the groups I'm a part of, the goals I have. And then really look at your physical health and anything that you can work through emotionally there. Maybe you need to see a therapist. Maybe you just need to talk to someone. Maybe your job, because the 6th house does rule how you make your money. That could be making you sick, right? There's all kinds of different things that could be possible here. And, another thing is maybe there's some self-defeating behavior in your routine, but let go of that, right? We're getting rid of it. We're bringing the unconscious to conscious area, and we're seeing it, we're shining a light on it, and then we're going to move in a different way here. So perhaps starting a new routine, rituals. I love rituals. Maybe you just wake up and drink tea every morning, and that's something that makes you feel better. I have my tea. I'm a liquid person, like I'm very water. So I've got tea and cacao and all kinds of stuff. And it helps. It truly does. All right. Cancer rising, Cancer sun, this full moon. It really wants you to honor, let me see how to put this, your inner child. But that seems childish, right? And I don't want this to seem childish. I mean, definitely children could be a part of this because it's in your 5th house. But really, it's your ability to enjoy life and what has been holding you back and disempowering you there. A lot of attention right now is on your goals and how you want to be out in the world. And that's where Taurus is for you, your tribe, the way you plan your life out, really. The higher mind, that's where Taurus is. And this moon in the 5th house is reflecting that light. And it's like, wait a minute, I'm this person out in the world. Why am I not able to enjoy my life at home? Why am I not enjoying or feeling romantic with my partner? Why am I not feeling good? This full moon really wants you to enjoy yourself, but then that requires you to kind of confront the deeper things that may be holding you back from that. Like maybe you've allowed yourself to be disempowered. That's not victim blaming. What I mean is staying in a situation when you need to be out of it, right? Or not being vocal about a situation. I mean, there you go, that Mercury in Taurus, right? Which is not an easy task. And that's why Scorpio is fear. It is the darkness, right? This is bringing some uncomfortable things up to the surface. Saturn is in your 8th house. The contracts you make with people, including the community, including, even the future of your contracts, if that makes any sense. And if you're looking at, oh man, I'm sharing myself in this way with this person, and I'm not even enjoying myself. What am I doing? What am I doing? The missing element here is Leo right now in the 2nd house. And so it's like looking at your own worth is going to be very helpful. So this woman wants you to have fun, but that's going to require letting go of whatever's holding you back from that and bringing it to the surface and transmuting it like Scorpio loves to do. So for this full moon, you might want to start a fire, that'd be a good idea. Okay. Leo rising, Leo sun. This full moon is in the area of home, family, and ancestry for you. Also emotional security. So what you can be aware of is feeling very emotionally insecure in some way, not feeling supported either by your family, in the home you're in. Maybe you've switched homes lately. And, and I say that because Scorpio, again, is uncomfortable truth. So you have to think, am I being empowered or disempowered in my home? Is my family making me feel empowered or disempowered? And then, Taurus being in your 10th house of career, that's very active right now. And you're really trying to figure out what you want to do with your life. And so you might be looking at your home life like, gosh, I wish that would support me a little more. Like my dreams, my wishes, Saturn's in your 7th house right now. So that's relationships. And it's really doing a number on those. Are they in alignment with who you are? So I would expect this for Leo risings and Leo suns to be very emotional. And I want you to feel like that's okay. It's okay to cry. That's going to be part of it. It's okay to need hugs and to love yourself and to look at your partner and say, I need more, or I need space, whichever that might be, to look at your, your mom, dad, sister, brother, whatever, and say, look, you guys really bring me down, man. Help me out here. To look at your home and say, I really want to change the curtains. All of these things. I think that's the biggest thing for this full moon. So, take a look around at all those things I was just talking about and really check in with your emotions, check in with your gut on that. For Virgo risings and Virgo suns, this full moon is in your 3rd house. This is really about becoming mentally aware of something that's been kept unconscious. So really you're blending this mental, emotional archetype here. And maybe you're mentally becoming aware of a very emotional thing, that you feel here, but you haven't quite integrated here. And so those two things are really working out. You've got a lot of activity in your 9th house, which is of what I know to be true. And that's really being shaken up. What do I value? Oh, I thought I valued this. I knew this to be true and fixed, and it's not. And I'm having to integrate it mentally and emotionally. And maybe when I bring that to the surface and I think about it and I actually consider it and let my emotions be thought about, it's really easy to feel an emotion and ignore it up here. And so feeling the emotion and also thinking about it is going to be very important. Saturn's in your 6th house of health, everyday life, work, routine. And, you may have a lot of goals there, but you really need to be thinking about the things that you don't normally think about. What are your deepest desires? What are you not gaining information from because you're too afraid of it? And maybe that has to do with sexuality, empowerment, disempowerment as Scorpio, right? Maybe you mentally ignore trauma in your life and things are bringing it up. Maybe you don't want to do the shadow work, and then you're like, oh, here it is. It's like being put in my face, and I either have to tackle it or push it down further. So my advice is not to push it down further. It's to think about it, to consider it, to make decisions that bring the unconscious to the conscious, that honor your contracts, and also your own empowerment. Okay. Libra risings and Libra suns. This full moon's in your 2nd house of finances, values, self-worth. And so you're really shining a light on that, right? So you may place self-worth in the hands of others. That may be a habit of yours. You are Libra rising after all, which is other people. And so, that's very much, I could see codependency being a thing that by no means means every Libra rising is codependent. But if there are any of those tendencies, any of those full moons going to shine a light on it, right? You are worth so much because you are worth so much, not because someone else says you're worth so much or not worth so much. That's really what this full moon is saying. Taurus is in your 8th house. So you're really reconsidering your values and how you share yourself, your values in contracts, your values in the deepest way in teamwork, how you share yourself. And it's going, hey, look at your own self-worth. These people don't matter. What matters is how you love yourself. Saturn's in your 5th house. It's really getting you in touch with this inner child area and this purpose. What is my purpose? Do I deserve to have fun? Are all the people around me supporting me in my happiness and my joy? Or am I letting the people that I'm around disempower me and feel like I'm not worth anything? Right? That's not what this full moon is trying to do for you. This full moon is like, hey, wake up. You are worth so much. And if those people aren't supporting it and you're not having fun, get away from it. Man, that came through real strong, didn't it? All right, Scorpio risings, Scorpio suns. This full moon is in your 1st house, which is you. What are you hiding from? Are you hiding yourself from your relationships, maybe? Are you hiding yourself from anything? Are you feeling yourself? I mean, these are all questions for Scorpio risings. If you have any places inside of you that might correlate to disempowerment, and how maybe relationships either empower or disempower you, that's what this full moon is about. Scorpio risings, there's 2 types that I see. There's either the type that's really committed to shadow work and looking at themselves and really, wanting to transmute and change in this lifetime. And then there's the type that wants to ignore all of that and say, I'm great, I'm fine, everything's fine. So I think this is about which type are you? If you're the I'm fine, everything's fine, you might want to consider looking at the shadow. You might want to consider, especially emotional security, home, family. That's where Saturn is. And it wants you to really rework what emotional security is, right? Come into this honesty with yourself. And do you have a group that you consider family, right? Do you feel alone? Are you feeling alone? If you're feeling alone, that's something to absolutely acknowledge. Sometimes Scorpio risings don't want to acknowledge that. I'm a Scorpio sun. So, if you're feeling like you're on an island of some sort in the middle of the swamp, this full moon, I think, wants you to build bridges, right? It wants you to have people in your life. It wants you to see the value in relationships and the value in family and the value in connection. But that requires a good look at yourself, and if you're feeling disempowered in maybe the group that you're in right now, maybe you need a different group. Maybe if your family's disempowering you, something needs to be addressed there. If your relationships are disempowering you, something needs to be addressed there. If you're keeping them at arm's distance, why? All of these things are what the full moon's going to bring up. But I do want to say that this full moon in the 1st house really does want you to look in the mirror and also love yourself. It's not just about doing the shadow work. It's about loving yourself enough to do the shadow work, I think. And also loving yourself enough to take yourself out of disempowering situations. Loving your people enough to quit acting your unconscious habits out on them. Both. It could be both. It really depends on your chart, depends on who you are. You're either the disempowered type or the empowered type that's a little too much, right? And maybe you're in the middle. Maybe both of these things are true for you. But Scorpio risings, it's going to feel very self-focused, and that's good. You're supposed to be thinking about yourself on this full moon. Okay, Sagittarius rising, Sagittarius sun. This full moon is in a very unconscious area for you. So these things will happen with or without your help, your work, any of that. the 12th house is the ether. It is dreams, inspiration. Traditional astrology has it as kind of like a scary place. That's because the unconscious is scary to people, right? So this is going to be a very maybe spiritually enlightening full moon for you. You may be having dreams. You may be feeling mystical, and that's good. Taurus is in your 6th house. So you could be shifting a lot of things in terms of how you value your health, how you value your daily routine, how you value your body, your self-worth, all of this stuff, right? So this full moon's like, now, because you've been doing all this work, I mean, think about it. There are people, especially yogis, that go into yogi teacher training and they go through 200 hours of deep breathing, and they have spiritually enlightening moments after that because they've done the physical work. And that's what this full moon is like for a Sagittarius rising, Sagittarius sun. I can imagine that there's been a lot of physical things happening. Perhaps also you're looking for your true spiritual life calling. This full moon is really going to spiritually enlighten you, I think, and maybe bring some unconscious things to the surface, whether you're trying or not. So Saturn's in your 3rd house, which is the way you think, the way you communicate with your community, the way you make decisions. So local community could be a thing somehow here. Maybe you have a realization that you need to be, helping somehow in your local community or connecting somehow with new people, or maybe you've changed communities or something like that. This full moon, good for meditation for you, good for inspiration and dreaming. Okay. So Capricorn rising, Capricorn sun. This full moon is in an area of goals, your tribe, the future. There's a lot of work being done on the area of child for you, whether it be your inner child, what you consider fun, children in general. Children are a theme for you. So what happens is you're having a lot of earthquakes in the child area, whether it be your inner child being triggered or your creativity feeling not, so active when you really were active in it before, or something like that. Something's changing there or being triggered. This full moon is like, okay, I've gone through that experience, and now I'm looking at my goals and really considering them in a much more enlightened way. I'm bringing up these unconscious things. They're coming to the surface. Perhaps I thought I wanted kids, and I've had this thing happen and I realize I don't really want them. Or perhaps, you're dealing with something if you have a child, and, maybe you need to make some adjustments on the future for that. Maybe it's just your inner child. Maybe you're someone who has suppressed that inner child or not really looked at it, and it's really waking up. And so it's going, wait a minute, do I really want to be doing this for the rest of my life? Or do I want to be actually honoring this kid inside and saying, I want to do this? You have one life that you're aware of. If you're not happy, go toward what makes you happy. That's the theme for Capricorn risings. What makes you happy? That's the future you need to be looking at for yourself. So that could be some uncomfortable things, right? Like, and you could be dealing with some very dark realizations, the Saturn's in your 2nd house of self-worth, finances, and values. So something about your goals for the future or the people that you surround yourself with could be, asking you to go, oh, wait a minute. That's not what I really want. I don't really want a future that is aligned to this, because these people do not really make me feel valued. And I want to have fun. Have fun, Capricorn risings. I know that might not be the easiest thing for you, but that's important. Honor that inner child, that creative spark. And yes, the 5th house does traditionally rule children, and that's why I bring it up. That idea can mean a bunch of different things. So it may mean literal children to you, and it may mean inner child, and it may mean just fun and enjoyment. So take that with a grain of salt, but it was important for me to say all that. Aquarius rising, Aquarius sun. This full moon is in your career area. And public reputation. So here's the thing, you may be going through something with Taurus on the fourth house that is reworking the emotional security part of you. And you're like, I have different values here. Maybe you've met someone that makes you feel very emotionally secure now. Maybe you have changed something in your home that makes you feel better, or you're feeling like doing that. Well, the full moon in the 10th house is like, am I reflecting this out in the world? Or am I even looking at how the world might see me? Am I empowered in my career? Am I disempowered in my career? Am I scared of something in terms of my career? Saturn's in your first house. You're really going, who am I? Who am I right now? This is a pretty fundamental T-square for you, Aquarius risings. You're really being shifted in your fundamental nature. I'm reworking who I am as a person. I'm changing my values in terms of what makes me feel emotionally secure. And now this full moon's like, am I even reflecting any of this out in the real world? Am I showing who I really am? Am I being truthful about who I am? Do I feel beholden to contracts in my career that I do not need to feel beholden to? I mean, any of those things can be possible for you. So, I would say letting go of worrying about being yourself. Like, if you are someone who shows up, you show up to work or whatever you're doing. Maybe you're an entrepreneur and you have your own business and you show up and you're like, hi, even though inside you're feeling really bitchy that day. I think honesty is a big part of how you can be successful, Aquarius rising. So, someone goes, how are you doing? And you're used to going, so good. Or this, and I'm in my alignment, and you're not. Be honest. That's going to be a power for you. So do not be disempowered by feeling like you need to show up in some certain way in order to be successful. I think being truthful about who you are deep inside is actually the key to success for you. Okay. Pisces rising, Pisces sun, always last, but definitely not least. I love Pisces. The full moon is in your 9th house of travel and adventure. And also, I call this the life path area, what's true for you. And so maybe you're dealing with some uncomfortable truths. Taurus is in your 3rd house. This could be gathering new information, maybe from the community that you're in, maybe from short trips that you're taking, or just could even be the internet, right? That you're really going, okay, my values are changing and what I want community to look like, where I want to be, what I want my decision-making process to be like. That's going to bring up uncomfortable truths for you that maybe you haven't wanted to look at, because truth is the thing for Pisces rising. What is true for me? Are you afraid of what's true for you? Saturn's in your 12th house. You're having some spiritual reworking in there. Some, again, downloading a new version of your operating system, right? Which maybe is what's bringing up this full moon stuff. Like, gosh, that's true for me. I feel like this and I'm seeing that, and that could be uncomfortable. So, and it's likely that you may even be traveling right now. We'll see. I don't know. Pisces rising's weigh in. Are you traveling? Higher education is another signification for the 9th house. So I think it's really about opening your mind. And that might shake you out of some fixed place. If you really want to assume this is what your truth is, my truth is relationships have to look like this, and I feel disempowered if this is the case. And then some little small voice in you goes, actually, that's not true. And you go, but it's always been true. Not anymore. So you might have to honor some truths that you've always counted on that are now different. Maybe some things you thought you knew about yourself that are being brought to the surface that you're like, Didn't realize that. So yeah, it's about being honest about your truth. Maybe about, some uncomfortable truths, and that's okay. That's Pisces rising. So let's see. Do I have any? Oh, I love Freeman said you can do shadow work or let it do you. Oh, yes, that's right. That is right. Who else is commenting on here? I know I got some on hey Virginia, that's the Pisces rising. I knew. Oh, I love all these comments. I'm looking. Thank you guys so much for joining in. Let me go through the week just a little bit real quick. Because I think that's important. This full moon is tonight, but we have a lot more going on. So Mars again is in Cancer. I didn't even bring that up for the rising sign delineations, but that's okay. I'm sure I will get to that at some point. So the moon in Scorpio being opposite of all this, Taurus is going to keep triggering things. Tomorrow, for instance, the moon will oppose Venus. That's awareness. And you could have some, like, for instance, uncomfortable conversations about money or relationships. Again, bringing in conscious right now. And then we're getting close. Tuesday, Pluto goes retrograde. So this is more shadow work. Pluto is the modern ruler of Scorpio. So that is going to feel maybe like a big aha moment. And interestingly, as Pluto goes retrograde, the moon comes in to make an opportunistic connection to it. So, you might go, put on the brakes. My rules need to change. My boundaries need to change. None of this is working because Pluto's in Capricorn, which is boundaries, the way we build our life, all of that. So Wednesday evening, the moon moves into Sagittarius. I'm looking at other things to see if there's anything else going on. And Jupiter moves to the 28th degree of Aquarius. Every time Jupiter moves a degree, I think that there's a shift. I mean, it's kind of flying through Aquarius right now, and it's coming to the last degrees of it, and it will move into Pisces by, I believe, the end of May. So Jupiter is expansion, right? And it's really expanding these ideas of our future and what we consider to be our tribe and our community. And then, when it moves to the 28th degree, let me see, does it touch anything? I don't believe it does. Not really. Makes a little sextile with Ceres, sort of. I would just watch over the next maybe the first couple of weeks of May, the end of April, first couple of weeks of May. The themes coming up when Jupiter goes retrograde in July and moves back into Aquarius will come up again. Just make that something to think about. Okay, that's Wednesday. I know that soon, it may be into June, soon-ish, we've got a Uranus Saturn square again, but maybe that's not happening as fast as I thought. So let's see here. Here we go. Thursday, I think we're getting into close to when the node moves degrees again, right? Oh no, it just has. Okay, yeah. So where is that? Y'all forgive me. I'm going like the clock here, looking moment by moment. I could be wrong. I am wrong. Doesn't matter. So then let's see, Thursday. I don't think there's anything super significant about Thursday. The moon does hit the south node, which can bring up some kind of karmic situations. Friday, what was Friday? The moon moves into Capricorn. That's right. The sun hits Uranus. So Friday could be more of a another realization type thing. Especially with the moon in an earth sign, I would definitely pay attention. Every time something hits Uranus, you're going to have a realization that's just like, okay, this is the new thing. With it being the sun and Uranus, the sun is our life force, right? So you may have just a very, mind blowing, this is shaking me up. I even look at Sun Uranus as earthquakes or something, right? So pay attention to Friday, any realizations you might have, something very important to pay attention to. Let's see, anything else Saturday? I'm just looking up, leading up to the new moon. Okay, yeah. So we got Monday, Mercury's at the last degree of Taurus. The last degree of every sign is known as the anaretic degree, which can be a crisis degree. So take that and do with it what you will. Maybe Monday might be interesting in terms of communication and thinking. And, if there's some place you've been stubbornly holding on to that's been wanting to shift, that Monday might be the crisis and action point for that. So just be aware, especially with the moon hitting Saturn that day. The sun squares Saturn on Monday. So I'm going to look at Monday, May 3rd as like a day. If you could take off, that might be a good day to take off, like for real, honestly. It's just the sun square Saturn can feel like obstacles, but we've got that as a theme anyway with Uranus square Saturn. It's just something about this Monday screams it's going to feel like you come up against something that you need to fix or reconsider maybe. Okay. And then Tuesday, the 4th, the moon hits Jupiter. Very expansive feelings about philosophy, wanting to find the truth of a situation, probably the situation from Monday. What I'm looking at now is Jupiter on Wednesday, May 5th, has moved to that anaretic degree of Aquarius, which is a crisis degree. Now, you may not have it be as much of a crisis with Jupiter being involved. We'll see. But I think that'll be very illuminating. All of the Aquarius work we're doing right now, May 5th is going to come into a huge focus because that's right before it changes signs. So pay attention Monday, May 5th to some realization that will be very important throughout the year. And then we also get closer to Mars sextiling Uranus as well. So like May 6th, I think it gets within a few degrees, 8, 9, 10, 11, 3 degrees, May 6th. So from May 6th through the new moon, which is May 11th, maybe even past that to a degree of separation, so May 14th, that's going to feel like being, I think, released from something. Mars in Cancer is very emotional right now. We're acting on our emotions. So it's a good thing to feel freedom, which is what that is going to look like, I think. So I would look forward to that. And then just, even though I will go over this at the new moon video, Jupiter moves into Pisces May 14th. Everyone's looking forward to that in astrology. Everyone's like, yay, that's going to be awesome. But, Jupiter is the traditional ruler of Pisces, and Pisces is confusion and things like that. Rose-colored glasses, things seem magical. Maybe they're not as magical as they appear. Pay attention. That's all. Really check in with your intuition as we get in Jupiter in Pisces. I do feel like it'll feel wonderful because Jupiter is in Saturn's territory right now, which is a little kind of like held back. But I'm looking at May 14th as something very interesting. So I'll get to that though on the new moon in Taurus on May 11th. Until then, let's see, do I have any more comments? Hey, everybody. It's good to see you. Thank you so much for joining in. Always feel free to ask me any questions. And, if you want to know what it's going to do in your specific chart, please let me know because we can do a session. All right, you guys, have a very good week. I hope you do. And just remember today is a full moon. All right, bye, you guys.